seals up the air transfer holes through your reg. The air that goes through your reg seals those holes up. So let's see. Now we will take the bolt and cocking rod out. Most bolts have just a pull pin style release. This is a Crisco bolt. It's just twist off. These are fairly uncommon, but they are pretty common in free flow. Free flow like to do those. And this is a free flow Millennium autococker. The cocking rod, which is this piece right here, just spins right out. This is attached to your hammer. Whenever the back block comes back, it catches the cocking rod, as you can see like that, and it pulls the hammer back. You see the how it's moving in the bottom tube. Try to get my hand out of the way. That's how that works. That's how the gun stays back in the cock position. Once the hammer comes back, the lug, this here, will go up into this little slot, catch the hammer lug, and then your gun is ready to fire. The back block will just spin right off. The timing rod, or I'm sorry, the pump arm will also spin off. Most of the time, these are Loctited in place. This one should be Loctited in place. It's always a good practice to make sure those are Loctited, but in this case it was not. It's a thing that will change whenever reassembling the gun. You have a valve retaining screw. I'm gonna take that out. That goes sandwiches in the valve, sandwiches the valve in the body, and prevents the valve from spinning. Okay, we'll go ahead and take the IVG out. That's your 3/16 Allen key. If you plan to stay in autocockers, you should be very familiar with this Allen key, because this is how you adjust your velocities. This IVG right here. IVG stands for Internal Velocity Governor. Next, you're going to have your mainspring right here. I'm going to go ahead and lay out the internals, that way you see how they go back together. So you have IVG mainspring. Then you have your 1/8 inch Allen key. It's going to go in this top hole right here. It's going to go down through the bottom tube and into the hammer lug. This might actually be an old enough autococker uses the other sized Allen key. We'll find out. Let's try this one first. I found it's sometimes easier to put the cocking rod back in just so that you can control where the hammer is. So I'm going to try spinning around. Okay. Does not appear that's the right one. It's going to be the smaller one, which I already have out somewhere. There we go. The really old bodies, are the old hammers, that is, uses these older lugs. The 1/8 inch, the most common. So we're just going to unscrew it until you see it retracts enough into the hammer so that you can just pull the hammer out. Alright, so there's your hammer. You can see how this works. The cocking rod goes through the springs and into the hammer. Okay, so that's that. Next, you have the valve jam nut. You have to have a special valve tool. These are specific for autocockers. You see how that is? It's hollow right here, and it has this little washer to keep, so that whenever you're reinstalling the jam nut, you can push it forward. So that's just going to screw right out. Alright, here's your jam nut. The valve's going to fall right out. So you have your valve spring. This is in front of all of it. You have the valve body, and you have the cup seal. Alright, so there are the internals. We'll zoom in on that so you guys can see what that looks like. Okay, one more time. Cocking rod, IVG, mainspring, hammer. That little circle right there is a hammer lug. You got the jam nut, the valve body, cup seal, and the valve spring. Okay. Set all this aside. Next we'll take the front block off. In order to get better access to the banjo nut, that's what this little nut right here, this is the piece that holds the front block on. In order to get better access to that, I'm going to pull these hoses off. Let's see how well these things are on there. Okay, so these are some light hoses. Some hoses are a little stronger than others. And also some are a little harder to get to. Apparently that one looks like it's a stronger hose. It's got different markings on it. You're going to try to pull straight up. And also be careful not to scratch the rest of the pneumatics. You see some of them are on there good ways. And try not to bend anything. I'm applying pressure down on the three-way to counteract the upward pressure. And same thing right there. Okay, so all the hoses are off. You take, again, your 3/16 Allen key. It's going to go right in this jam, the banjo nut, and screw right out. Give it a couple turns. Okay, now that I've gotten most of the torque off it, I can turn it around and spin it. Okay. I'm going to slide the front block up just a little bit, if I can. Doesn't look like it's giving me any play here. I'm going to go ahead and jack this back down a little bit. Again, this gun's not been apart in years, so it's a little finicky. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take the ram off. Some people prefer to Loctite the rams on there, some people don't. It's all personal preference. The ram just screws right off. Okay. Let's see if it wants to come out now. By now it should be spinning pretty easily, but apparently it feels like it's rusted a little bit on the inside. Okay, there we go. Alright, it's going to come right off. You have another O-ring right here. It's the same size that's used for the vertical ASA. A lot of times they're green, sometimes they're black. Not really any difference. It's just how they're made. So there's that O-ring. And the banjo nut. I'm not going to worry about taking the rest of the front block apart. I have a front block video showing how to take apart and reassemble front blocks. So if you want to see that, you can go watch that. Last thing is the detent. Some autocockers use a wire detent like this. You see, it's just basically a wire that goes into the tube and prevents double feeding. And some use a ball detent, which is a little ball joint. Here, I actually have one. Okay, there we go. You see, where am I going? There it is. This is a brass one. It's got this little ball bearing right here, and it just basically goes into the body just a little bit. It's sprung, so the paintball can roll past it whenever the bolt closes. So let's see, we need another Allen key for that. Oh, wrong one. Alright, that's just going to screw right off. So there's that screw, and then the wire detent is just going to fall right out. There we go. See, here you have a look at the wire detent. This little protrusion goes into the body. A common misconception about the autococker is whenever you have rollouts, which is whenever a ball basically just rolls out the end of the barrel, it's because your detent's broken or it's worn down or something along those lines. But actually, the detent is only there so that two balls do not feed. Basically, one ball will fall, the detent will stop it, and then whenever the bolt closes, the bolt's going to push the ball past the detent and actually load it into the barrel which is why autocockers are called closed bolt guns, because they're ready to fire from the closed bolt position. So if you have rollouts, it means the barrel, the inner diameter of the barrel is too big for the ball. It's not catching the ball, and therefore it's rolling out. That's why autocockers, you have to bore your paintballs to your barrel. So that's how you disassemble an autococker. You see it's fully disassembled, and I'll have a reassembly video up as well. Thank you.